what's the effect of trauma in the learning process? In this video, we are going to talk about different strategies that we can use to support learners and other people to go through these experiences. And I'm Luz Olid from Evolving Education, and I'm just talking here in the middle of the chaos of my house that everything burned out in a fire. And I would like to share some strategies that we can use to support other people. A traumatic situation or a stress associated to traumatic situations can affect in many different ways to ourselves and to our bodies. And in the previous video, we shared a little bit of what were the effects in the brain, what was activating and being deactivated. But it affects us in many levels. For example, we can see like short-term memory gets affected, the ability to concentrate in particular tasks, or just taking decisions and planning. It becomes a really hard task when you are you are living through or going through this particular situation. Another thing that gets really affected is our ability to regulate our emotions, and we can see, for example, in learners or in people that is going through these experiences that they might show anxiety or really a lot of stress and irritability. Like we are going to see some things in their mood that is going to tell us that something is going on. And the other thing that we are going to see is that there's going to be more difficulty to create good relationships. Like people is going to be a little bit more reactive, and they are going to struggle to build relationships based on trust. Something to note here is also the effects that exams, comparison and competition can also have inside the learning spaces, because for many people and for some people these actually things that we use in order to evaluate actually can create kind of a traumatic experience and a stress similar to trauma. So it's really important for us to consider and to question if these practices are actually contributing or not to meaningful learning. But that's something that we can speak about in another video. To support learners to be able to go through these experiences is also really important for us as facilitators or teachers or just people to be aware of the effects that this can have in their brains and what things are going on, in order to react in a different way, a little bit with more compassion and understanding instead of reacting to whatever situation suddenly arise. So it's really important to get to understand what is going on in their lives. So what strategies can we use to support learners to go through these difficult moments? I'm going to share with you 5 different strategies that we can use to support our learners through these difficult experiences. The first one is creating safe learning spaces. What does that mean? What does a safe learning space look like? A safe learning space is a place where people can be themselves, can be authentic. They are not going to be scared to just show themselves how they are. So safe spaces to be themselves, but also brave spaces. Why brave spaces? Because there should be also a space to make mistakes, to be challenged, to go out of our comfort zone and go to that a little bit more, to that stretch zone where learning happens. Sometimes safe spaces end up being comfortable spaces in which we don't have difficult conversations. But the idea here is that inside our learning space, we have a safe container where we can have these challenging situations and we can experiment and try new things and go out of our comfort zone in order to learn. Research constantly shows that people learn better when they feel safe, and we don't learn when we are under stressful situations. So that means that punishments, comparison, judgments, all those things are not contributing to learning, and they are not contributing to create a safe learning space. And what can we do as educators? Showing vulnerability, sharing mistakes that we do as part of the learning process, sharing that we don't know everything. All those things are going to contribute to create a safe learning environment, and it gives the possibility to the children to make mistakes as part of the learning process, to be authentic and to keep growing and developing themselves. So the second thing, build relationships based on trust. What does that mean? That means that we are all different, but we are all at the same level. There is no hierarchy. We have the possibility to learn from each other and to grow all the time, just with the interactions with the people that we have around us. And what can we do as educators? We can try to listen to them, to really understand and figure it out. Who is that person that we have in front? Asking questions from curiosity, sharing with them whichever we feel, in order to keep building trust and building the relationship. The third one, start with the strengths. Start with what people already have in them, what is already present, not with what is missing. Because once that we start looking at what people is lacking, it creates a dependency relationship, and that is completely disempowering. If we also start with what people is missing, then it really lowers of expectations, and we don't see the possibilities or the abilities that a person might have. Like, each of us is unique, each of us have his unique abilities, and it's super important to support the people around us to develop those abilities, not focusing on what they don't have. When we focus on the strengths and the abilities, then there's a change. We start from trying to fix someone to supporting them to develop their innate capabilities. As an educator, we have to completely believe that our learners have the ability to achieve whatever they want, and that they have the ability to learn and change and chase whatever they decide. The fourth one, give choice and voice to all. When we give children the opportunity to speak and their voice is heard, there is a complete change. They go from being passive consumers of information to be active participants of their learning and their lives. They start taking decisions, and they start doing things that are relevant for them. So as educators, we can create different opportunities to hear the voices of everyone, and to also allow them to express in different ways. Like, for example, some learners will prefer to speak in small groups, others will prefer to do it in bigger groups. We can create those opportunities so they have the opportunities to share. And also, there will be some learners that prefer to just be in a corner and write something, or draw, or maybe they decide to express what they are feeling through a dance, or to writing a rap. You know, giving them just different possibilities so they can express themselves and they can share their voices is super important. 5, sharing tools and practices for self-regulation. Self-awareness is one of the first steps in order to start the healing process. So as educators, we can share with our learners and actually practice different tools that we can use in order to self-regulate and to get to know ourselves better. For example, we can do some yoga, some meditation. We can also do movement meditation, or we can share breathing techniques. We can do role plays about nonviolent communication. We can use different strategies in order for them to learn to regulate their emotions, to understand what they are feeling, put them a name to those emotions, figure out their needs, and acting accordingly in order to solve conflicts or to be able to go through an anxiety moment, whichever technique it helps them in order to feel good. Working with individuals that are going through traumatic and stressful situations also make us susceptible of going through really hard situations or hard emotions. So it's really important to be aware of how are we feeling too. So practice self-care, be aware of your boundaries and your limits, and ask for help whenever you need it. How are your self-care habits going? Do you know different strategies to recharge energies and to take care of yourself? Just share it in the comments below.